Hi, I'm casket clinket artist Dean Heron, and today we're going to be making an elbow adze. Okay, so you can use different types of steel for your adze blade itself. Most of the adzes I've made are from reclaimed car springs, and the steel that's in there actually works really well for making them. This particular adze is going to be made out of a skidoo spring, and apparently they have a really great feel. They're a nice weight to them, and when you're using them to start finishing your piece, whatever that might be, your mask or your bowl or spoon, these adze blades hold up really well. So what I'm going to do, I have an angle grinder that I'm going to use. It is we're going to cut this piece of steel off. I've just marked where the length of my adze is going to be. And I have safety equipment, so what I'll be using is a dust mask because it's going to be blowing up some steel. I have a pair of safety glasses, and I also have some ear protection. The angle grinder can be quite loud, and we'll just go from there. So after I cut off the piece of steel that I wanted from that snowmobile spring, you put it onto the belt sander and just cleaned off all the paint, any rust that was on it, and it cleaned up quite nicely. Another reason for doing that is so that I can actually keep a look, keep an eye out on whether or not it gets too hot and I start burning the steel. Again, you don't want to do that. It takes the temper out of it and it puts weak parts into the blade. So what we'll do now is put it on to the bench grinder here, and you'll draw on a profile of the blade shape that you want. This particular one I found in the Brick Museum in Seattle, and it's fashioned after a adze that I saw in their collection there. So we'll put that adze curve into it. We'll put the profile of the blade in first, and then after that we'll put on the bevel. As well, again, when you're working with these high-powered machines, make sure you do have your safety equipment. I have a safety goggle, got a dust mask, my sleeves are rolled up, and so that nothing can get into those rotating grinder stones. And I also have steel-toed boots, and I've seen people wear their own runners and that kind of thing, and I've seen blades that are dropped go into feet, which is not a great thing to watch. But so safety is of the utmost importance. So now that I've put on the profile of my blade here, it's now to put the bevel onto it. And with this particular skidoo spring, you can see there's a bit of a bow in the actual spring itself. So you want to put the bevel on the bow upside. So it bows this way. You want to put the bevel at the end here. And you can see I've already kind of started it, making a couple passes. I've drawn on wherever I want the bevel to come back to, and I start from this line and I move forward. And again, we're going to be using it on the bench grinder here. We're going to be holding it up against our guard here, and we're going to be moving it across the face of that grinding stone, just like that. So it'll take a few moments. This will be the bulk of the work, and then after that we'll move to using the files. Alright, so you can see now I've started putting the bevel side of the blade on. It's gotten down to a nice thickness that I can actually move to the files. So I'll do a few passes of the files just to get it nice and flat as I can across that bevel where the blade is, and then I'm going to move on to some sharpening stones. Just like we did with the diamond stones, you're going to do the same thing with this adze, and you want to bring this to a really nice high polish. Nice high polish, you'll get a nice clean and sharp adze blade with. So we'll do that now. So just working on this bevel now, and what I'll do is just flatten out this edge that we've created here for the blade. I'll be using a flat file, and I'm just going to be running it across the blade and making sure the plane is at the same level all the way across to make a nice even surface area for the blade itself. And this process won't take too long. We'll use the knife, and then we're going to move to the diamond tools, and then we'll sharpen it up with the emery paper. And at that point we'll just take a look at that point whether or not we need to temper it or not. So it's good to have two hands with this process, and you're just going to move it up and down the surface of this blade. Okay, now after we've taken it onto the diamond stones, we're going to use some emery paper. I have a work sharp sharpener, and it is quite a miraculous machine just because I have lots of tools and I need to hone them up from time to time while I'm carving. It's really good for finishing off the blades that we have, whether it's the bent knives that we make, or whether it's this adze blade that we're fashioning. You can see I've got it pretty much to a nice shine in the front, and we're going to use this machine just to finish it off with. And then I'm thinking about putting the temper back into it maybe. I'll probably just test it out to see how it cuts, and I'll go from there. This machine, again, it's a high-powered machine, so make sure your sleeves are rolled up, you have your safety goggles on, and you should be ready to go. So now that we finished our adze blade, we're going to put it onto the handle. There's still a couple of things I'd like to do with this one here, but the next step with finishing it off and getting your blade finalized is to put it onto a handle. And for handles, you can make these adze handles. They work really nicely out of alder, maple, like a nice hardwood when you're looking at it. And really what you're looking at with making an adze handle, just because we don't have time to actually go out into the forest right now and harvest a tree. This is a handle that I had in the shop already. It's an elbow adze handle. It's about a foot and a half long or so, and it's actually you can see where it was growing out of the tree. And you want an intersection like this because it makes it really tough. You can see right on the end here where the branches going into the tree itself. And you want to cut it off, and you'll have a nice V to it. Too shallow of a V, it's pretty hard to adze when it's really shallow, the actual angle there. And if it's a little bit further out, it works quite nice. So what we'll do when you're making your handle, if you're making it out of fresh alder or birch or maple, you're gonna have to dry the handle out. And the drying process, really you cut it the tree green, cut it out, take all the bark off it, and then you just wrap it in paper and you keep changing that paper until it's dry. It takes a number of days to do. And once you get it to the dried stage, where it's really nice and dry and hard, you can start cutting the notch into it. And you'll see that this part here of the blade will, you see where I've cut this notch off, you'll put the blade into it here, and you just want a nice V to it. And really when it comes to using it, you'll see that your hands at the end of the handle, maybe a little bit up from it, it makes a really nice triangle shape here. So you cut your notch in it, you cut off this extra, you can see this extra piece here. What I'll do, I'll just take it to a bandsaw or chisel, hammer, whatever tool that you prefer to use, and then just cut that flush along the top of the adze itself. And that way when you're cutting, it doesn't actually get caught on anything when you're using it. So we'll do that. What I'm going to do is, you can see this adze blade goes a little bit wider than the handle itself. I think what I would like to do is just grind those edges down just a little bit more so that it sits flush with the adze itself. And then we'll tie it up, and we're going to tie it up just like we would a knife, and it should be good to go. So I'm really excited to try this this adze blade out. Got a handle on here, shouldn't take too long to put it on. So that's what we'll do next, and just follow along with us. So we've grounded our adze down to width. This way the width is not overlapping the notch that we've cut into the bottom of our adze handle here. So you just want to make sure it measures up so that it's nice and flush on either side. Okay, and that way when you're using the adze, it's not getting caught on the edge here or on the other side. So got a nice width to it. You can see where the angle is. Cut pretty far into this handle portion, but because it's coming up against this tree knot here where the branch is, it's going to be really quite tough. So I like the angle. I've got it nicely flush on this side now. I got it on flush on either side. I'm going to go ahead and tape that on and just take a couple of little swings with it. Not into anything, but just with tape, just to kind of get the feel of balance. And a nice balanced adze, you're going to feel that it doesn't have too much resistance going up, it doesn't have too much resistance going down. It's balanced all the way through the cut. And once I've done that, just to make sure I've got a nice angle on it, and it's just really just adjusting this blade back and forth, or maybe the angle on this way, but I think looks like it's pretty good. But we'll take a few swings and see what it feels like, and then after that we'll just tie it up and it should be good to go. Okay, here we are, we're back. As I said, just tape your blade to the handle that you've made, and just kind of take it a few little easy swipes with it, if you will, just easy chopping with it. And what you're looking for here is that it's has a nice balance to it, and it's not flinging back and it's not dropping forward, but there's like an even weight to it as you put the cut through it. Why these are called elbow adzes is because you're working from your elbow to the blade itself, and you're moving it all in one motion. You're not using just your wrist. If you just did that, your wrist would be really sore, or you might even do some damage to your ligaments there. So your wrist is stiff and you're swinging all the way from the elbow. and we found a nice balance with this, so I'm gonna go ahead and tie it up. And once you've tied it up and get it ready to use, you'll find that it's really quite an elegant tool to use, quite easy to get off some of the bark, or even start shaping some of the projects that you have. And I've seen numerous ones around the world, and this kind of blade, either they're made of like the Maoris, some of their jade tools, same shape, same construction of handle. And I've seen some over in Norway, in Oslo, at their folk museum, their people museum, and they use their adzes for ship making. And you'll see the whole blades actually is one piece to the handle, and it has a small little handle attached to it. But it's the same shape, it's the same elegant cutting tool, and it's very efficient once you kept sharp and attached. This will be used for years to come. So we'll attach it on there and I'll show you the end result. So we got some nice string here. It's a bit thicker than what we would use for the knives. I'm not exactly sure what the size of it is. I'm thinking it's about 26. Again, it's seine twine, so it's a waxed string. And what we'll do, like we did with knives, we'll make a loop and just tie the knot off. So just an easy knot, just like you would do tying a shoelace, and you'll just pull that through nice and tight. And that way, when you're gonna pull the string through, it will bind nicely, and you'll have something to hook it into. So you do it that way. So again, I recommend with your adze, just wrap it up with something. You can wrap it in tape. I just have some old cloth here, I think it's a t-shirt, and just wrap off the blade. That way you won't cut the string when you're trying to pull it through, and it's actually less likely to injure yourself in case that string breaks when you pull it. So you'll pull off about 10 inches or so on the top side of your adze, and you'll just wrap that around for later use, just like so. And then this little section here is where the string is going to go over. So what you do is on the top side, not on the bottom side. If you were to tie it on the bottom here, you'll put a little bit of a bump into it, and over time it's just going to wear the string off. So it's better just put that string that you're hiding underneath all the wraps on the top side, and you'll put a little loop on the back side here, just like so. And what I've done here is I've just put up the string against the wall here, just so that I can pull it out and hold it on the ground with my foot. And you'll do that, and then the first couple wraps you'll just do by hand. You just use your hand just to tie that around, get it nice and tight. And then once you've done that, you can start actually just wrapping the adze itself. Again, you don't need to put it super tight so that it's so tough to put it through, but you can just wrap it this way. Make sure you don't get anything else caught in there. So wrap a little bit. You're keeping it tight with your foot, and you're just pulling it through. So here we have it. We've wrapped it all the way back, right to the V in your handle, and that loop that we had is right here. We pass that last strand right through that loop, and that way when we take this loop off, we can pull it through. So we can use that side of the string to pull it through, and that will pull that end of that string underneath, over top of the adze. And I've put another knot just above it, and that way I can pull it back a little bit. So you'll pull it through first and then pull it back, and that way it's secure on both sides. You can see we've put that loop just around this screwdriver on the floor here, and I can be able to stand on it, and then I can just pull this string towards myself. You can use both hands and just pull that thing through, and you'll see it disappear through this loop right here. You can just watch it go through. You don't want to pull it all the way through, but you go about halfway or so. You can see it on this, you can see it moving through here. Okay, so I pulled it about 3/4 of the way through. You can see where it ended up. Ended up just about 3/4 the end through, about 3/4 of the way through, and then we'll take the side that we just pulled through with this loop, and we'll turn this adze blade up, and we'll step on that, put that loop through, screwdriver, and pull up. And when you're pulling up this way, pull it up so that the trajectory of your blade's actually gonna go on the side of you. Don't pull it right towards your stomach or anything, just in case it breaks. And you can pull it back. There we go. So I pulled it way back through this way, about halfway, and that way it's cinched on both sides now. You can just cut that off, and your adze is ready to go. Adze blade, start to finish, from making your adze to securing it on a handle. This adze blade will be used for years to come if you take care of it properly. So go out, make one, enjoy it, use it, have fun while doing it.